they say it's the camera update, but it really doesn't do too much. Because I've been doing the VR chat thing for a while. Um,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
so you know that the camera's been the same since as far back as I can remember. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how
I
long.
just use the stream camera.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, that's what it is now, but it's way more complicated. How long have you
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
been doing VR chat? How long you been playing VR
I
chat?
guess I guess I started well, it's weird. I remember during the whole Uganda Knuckles thing,
Oh
I saw the
shit.
memes floating around. And I thought to myself, "Hey, this game looks pretty interesting, so why not check it out?" So I didn't have any VR at the time, so I just played on desktop. And I think I played for about maybe an hour, chatted with some random people, and then never logged in again.
Oh
But
no.
with the Quest, yeah, I know. But with the Quest 2 coming out, I think last year, making VR a little bit more accessible for a lot of people, I thought to myself, well, I can spare a couple $100. Why not buy a headset? So I'd say starting from maybe last September, possibly, is when I started really playing VR chat. And I haven't
September,
really
yeah.
started making content for it until maybe I'd say a month ago or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that like what was it, the job, what do you do for a living
Mm-hmm.
sort of video, and that was
Mm-hmm.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. Do you use a program that allows that dubs it, puts on the subtitles, or do you do that by hand?
I do everything by hand. So
Yeah.
my process is pretty much I go around for maybe 3 to 4 hours at a time, depending on how much footage I get. And then I'll try to timestamp it, just, any funny moments or moments that I think are great. And then I'll go put that into Premiere Pro, and then I'll just basically do all of my editing there. It's a pretty long process.
Well, the editing, I do the editing. I edited all my videos.
Mm-hmm.
One video that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really get enough traction is VR Chat Court, and I think part of the reason why is because, there's other people who have done like VR Court videos, but this one was scripted, so I think it was a little dry. It was a little on the nose. What video? What's your most popular video?
Oh, wow. That's a little weird for me to say because I have a couple of YouTube shorts that have done relatively well, but I think my most successful video would be like the one you mentioned, what does VR chat do for a living? I
Yeah,
think that was probably my best performing one. It depends on the platform though, because not all platforms are the same.
you upload on other platforms.
Ye- Yeah, I actually uploaded on TikTok pretty consistently for about 2.5 weeks, but then I got permanently banned
For what?
because uh, they said inappropriate content, but my guess is it's probably because of all the cursing. I censor the subtitles, but I don't necessarily censor um the actual words. And funny enough, I got banned once temporarily because of nude avatars, they say, but it's like your average VR chat skimpy avatars, which makes you think there's so many people out there who already wear so much skimpy clothing, men and women, but for some reason, some pixels
Yeah,
got me permanently banned.
that's yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. Twitch is really Twitter is really weird, right? Um, I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't really gotten into it as much recently. Like when it first started, I was like playing with it, but just kind of got bored with it because I already had like YouTube.
Yeah, Twitter is interesting. I've talked
Twitter.
to some people who are in the VR chat Twitter space, and from what they've told me, they said it's a pretty tight-knit community. But in my personal experience, I haven't really dived too deep into Twitter, but also a lot of the Twitter content that I see is pretty inappropriate. Pretty inappropriate. So
Disappointing, yeah.
it, a little disappointing. I'm not sure if I really want to dive into that specific space.
No, Twitter can be a really dangerous place. You know, it's like you got to be like real lucky, or you got to know which path to already walk. Because if you step in the wrong spot in Twitter, your life is over. Like, you won't even be able to get a job through a family friend.
Oh yeah, yeah, and so that's why when I first started, I thought TikTok would be a pretty good platform for me to put a lot of my content on because I thought the interviews I was doing was pretty straightforward, 30, 40, 50-second clips. But then eventually I got to this point where I realized that 30 to 40 seconds was too long for TikTok, but then 15-second interviews just didn't have enough substance. And that was around the time where I just got permanently banned. So I was in this weird position of, well, should I try to make another account and cater content towards TikTok? But then I just came to the decision where, well, I think I should just focus a lot of my efforts onto YouTube because I think YouTube is a better platform for me to put out longer interviews with more substance to them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that way you can get more in depth. You know, some people say, do you have a list of questions that you are going to ask?" And then I have to explain to them that it's not that kind of interview. It's informal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sit down
Mm-hmm.
and chat about stuff, about, you know, their stuff and the person's
Mm-hmm.
work or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I like this would be a more of a formal interview where it's Q&A, pick at each other's brains, get to really know each other, see what this creator does, and it's almost like an exchange of information. Whereas the type of, I guess if you could call it interviews, is more or less I go out and talk to people and just ask what do you do for a living? And you know, everybody has their own story. So
Yeah.
it's more, I guess, akin to VR chat stories, if anything.
Yeah, VR chat stories. I'm not totally familiar with that other than the ones that you do.
Well, I think VR chat stories in the past 2 years have been wildly popularized by bigger content creators like Searmore. One
Oh
of his
yeah,
biggest
yeah.
performing
I think I
videos
met
was
them.
a kid. This kid is too innocent for VR chat,
Oh
and it's
yeah,
the little
that.
cat
Yeah.
boy who, yeah. So people like him. There's another creator right now, I Am Lucid, who interviews people kind of, and yeah, he kind of interviews people in a similar way, more of the style I'm trying to go for. So VR chat stories in itself aren't anything new, but I think that there's a lack of VR chat stories or at least VR chat Q&A type of content. Now my struggle is how do I take that and make it a little bit, add my own twist to it, add more my own flair to it, or at least how do I explain it?
Oh, we got a
Make it
follower.
more enjoyable to watch. Hey.
Yeah, yeah. I do need to do need to set that up to where it doesn't make the noise during the interviews.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's I think because I did interviews where I would go to a map that was fun or something, and we'd go to different parts of the map, and people would tell their story, and I would cut it, and I would edit it, and it would take forever. The editing interview videos is way harder than editing anything
Mhm.
else
Mhm.
because, like, if you're doing clips, you can add like a half second to the end of a clip or at the beginning to make the video just a little bit longer. You know, you have to.
Yeah. So I think for me, I like the process. I actually like going out and meeting people and talking to them and
Yeah.
getting to know them. It's kind of in this way, maybe a little bit more informal. Just I consider myself pretty social, and VR chat is almost the perfect game to do that because
Yeah.
it is a social game. Yeah. So the process itself doesn't necessarily bother me, but I do totally know what you mean by it's difficult to select which parts to cut down or include because some details are sometimes sorry to any of my viewers who might be watching this podcast, but it doesn't add any substance to the main part of the story.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit heartbreaking to do that, but at the same time, there is a certain flow to the video that I want it to have.
Yeah, that makes sense because there's been a couple of those older interviews, ones where I would edit them. There were whole parts I had to cut out. While it may have been a good story, it doesn't really add anything to the theme of the video.
Yeah, essentially. And I've asked people certain questions and they just go totally off topic or they just don't stick to the main question like you mentioned before. So it's always been a question of, well, whatever content I put out just kind of depends on who I really interview. And it's always a hit or miss in that aspect.
All right. Yeah, sounds like maybe like I didn't have time to share with you to what the theme and form or the format is of this. I sent you that video, but
Uh-huh.
no, I can understand if like they don't. It's frustrating when they don't understand how the process works, which is why I always say the hardest part of making any film is the casting, because people have their
Oh
own
yeah, of course.
own idea of the piece that you're working on, and it's very difficult to explain colors to someone who can't see, who's never seen, right? So if they've never seen your vision, it's hard to explain it to them.
And adding on to that, I think going a little bit off track here, but with VR personalities, a personality definitely has to shine through because especially when I was posting videos on TikTok, it was always very apparent that certain people who said whatever story that they were saying always shined more than certain people in different videos that I had posted. And I think what's interesting in the VR space specifically is that we're already seeing it now with things like HoloLive, but VR personalities and 3D models and all that is going to become way more prevalent. I guess. We already have VTubers, for instance. So what's the difference between a VTuber and I guess, in our sense, a VR personality? And in my videos, I've been struggling to figure out a way to showcase my own personality into the videos that I've been creating.
You have a hard time just maybe trying to cut loose and let yourself shine through.
Yeah, a little bit. I think for me, a large part of my personality kind of, how do I explain it? I guess I could be funny sometimes, but when I talk to people, it's when I really want to get to know somebody, it's kind of like in this setting, I prefer one-on-one talks. A friend and I might have lunch. We talk to each other. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What do you want to do? Which is why I really like doing the VR chat stories and interview content that I've been working on so far. But it's, I guess, at least in the YouTube space, and especially in VR chat, people just want to see a lot of funny VR chat moments.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's screaming, high energy, high intensity. A little part of me, I guess you could say, is a little bit insecure of, I guess, showcasing myself in this form to a lot of my viewers. But again, a lot of my subscribers are people that I've actually interviewed, so maybe that is what they want to see. So who knows?
I mean, do you have those problems outside of VR?
Surprisingly, I don't have a lot.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, like, because
Oh,
that's something new that VR brought out. That's kind of interesting. I guess I don't really know.
yeah. I think.
Maybe it's like going
I
to
think
a
for
new
me
school.
in my
I'm sorry. It's the latency You just
Oh
go. You
no.
go ahead.
Oh yeah.
You're the one being interviewed.
No, I totally understand. We VR chat, but latency is always an issue, right? But
Yeah.
I think for me, in my personal life, I would say I'm a little bit more extroverted. I've
Right.
always, maybe you can also relate as well, especially when you grow up in a certain area and then you go off to high school or college. Everybody has a specific mask, everybody has an ego that they want to protect and hide from other people. And for me, my ego outside of, I guess, VR chat was always very extroverted, getting to know everybody. I was always the funny guy. Everyone could pick on me, and I didn't really mind because I thought it was funny. My thing was, if you're going to roast me, at least make it funny, right? And I would roast everybody else. Very extroverted personality. But
Yeah.
when I'm at home alone, I like to just sit down, chill out, not really talk too much. I really do enjoy one-on-ones. And playing in VR chat, I could never, maybe it's just with more time, but I could never really find myself joining the role players. I could really never find myself joining the random people screaming in Black Cat, for example. I could never really bring myself. Yeah, I could really never bring myself to be a part of that. But what I really love about this game is moments like these. Even if it is a podcast, just really talking to each other on a one-on-one basis and really getting to know who the other person is, even if it is just avatars, for example. I guess you could say this is my real personality in a sense, if that makes any
Your residual
sense.
self-image.
I guess so. I guess so. It's interesting because I can be very social. I do have a social battery. I could be very social. I could be very extroverted. I could laugh and banter and dance and be the life of the party. I could be all of that in my real life. But coming onto a game like VR Chat, I just really want to. I'm curious. What do people do for a living? What do people think about relationships? What are your impressions on certain current events? What everyone in VR chat behind every single avatar is a real person, and I've met so many cool people, and that's what I'm really looking for, really going after. And it's weird because you would think it's flipped the other way. People are quiet in real life, but extroverted in VR chat, but for me, it's the opposite. I'm so extroverted in real life that I'm a little bit introverted in this game, and I just want to have conversations and get to know people and ask them, so what do you do for a living? Right?
Yeah. One of my first ones was like that. I was standing there with Aka, so I just randomly started interviewing her, but it was just like, a quick thing. Akazuna, the ginger.
I'm not really familiar with who Akazuna is, but I can imagine how that interview went.
But it was the Black Cat. Yeah, that was no, not the Black Cat. It was that what's the other one? Pug, the Great Pug. Yeah.
Oh, Pug is always a great world.
Yeah, it's kind of a dangerous world to go to because, when the kids realize that there's more to VR chat than there's more than VR chat than the Black Cat or that campfire startup world. Then like it's like, wait a minute, I have a PC. I can go and I can go and talk to these people who have a PC as well. And then you get in there and you're fucked.
Yeah. One of my favorite places to go in the Pug specifically is when you go into the world and then you go take a right and go towards the stairs. The stairs in the back, there's the dumpster area.
Yeah.
If you're lucky enough, there's always people, well, not always, but there would be people talking in the dumpster area. And I've found out, funny enough, that specific dumpster area is kind of like where the people just want to sit back and just talk to normal people and go, hey man, how's it going?
Oh
hey,
shit, I didn't think of that.
How's life? Yeah. It's a hit or miss. That's when I go into the Pug. That's typically one of the first places I go to, and a lot of those guys are pretty receptive of my interviews, I'll go, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "Hey, I'm doing pretty
Yeah.
good." It's like, "All right, cool. Can I ask you a question?" They're like, "Yeah, sure." So for my YouTube, oh, that's dope. And you're pretty far away from all the music and the dancing and the mirror dwellers and everybody just going crazy in the main area of the pug. So that's the part of the pug I like to go to.
That's cool. I'll have to try that next time. Next time I'm in the pug, I'll have to go there, like for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I went there a
yeah.
couple of times. I tagged along and did some role playing with the Lolly Police Department. They're a fun bunch.
Oh, wow. The Lolly Police Departments, they're hilarious.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I did role play once with them. The Lolly Police Department bunch are a lot of them are actually very nice, very cool to talk to, and they're really dope people. I guess I did role play with them once, and it went pretty smoothly, pretty nicely, compared to all my other instances and experiences with other, I guess, role playing groups in this game.
You ever been in a role playing group? It sounded like you weren't into it before, but have you been in other games or anything?
I have never personally been a part of a role playing group, even in any other games or MMORPGs. A lot of the games that I played prior to VR chat were, I guess, a big one in my life was Maple Story. I sunk a disgusting amount of hours into that game,
Wow, I heard of it, but I
but
don't. I
not a
don't think
lot of
I've
role
played it.
playing, just a lot of grinding.
Oh
Yeah, just a
yeah.
lot of grinding, XP grinding in that game. Not a lot of role playing, or I guess social interactions.
So
Because
do you,
how much DPS can you do?
DPS? Yeah, at like 99 per second, kind of takes the fun out of it.
Right?
Did
Yeah.
you? So what's with the name Twortles?
Oh. Oh, wow. Well, I came up with the name Twortles about a month ago. I thought to myself, well, I want to do VR chat content, and throughout, I guess, my lifetime, my internet lifetime, I've had so many different usernames, but they've all really never stuck. One of my usernames was just kind of it looked like you just kind of smashed your face into your keyboard. It was just a mishmash of Q's and J's and L's and M's and didn't make any sense. But that was the username I go by. And no one could really say my name. A couple other usernames went by, and so I thought to myself, well, I want to have a name that's pretty simple to remember, pretty unique, and I guess says a little bit about me. And so I picked on Turtles, because I like turtles. It's like the old meme, like I like
Twortles.
turtles.
Oh
And
yeah,
I,
Twortles.
yeah, I like turtles, but turtles would obviously be taken. So I thought, how else can I say turtles? Turtles. Turtles. Yeah, I like turtles, and turtles is
Twortles.
pretty
Well,
simple to
let's go play
remember.
the Twortles. It's the
Yeah, let's go
ninja.
play with some turtles.
It's the Ninja Twortles.
Yeah. Yeah, funny because some people don't see the L and they think it's an I, so they'll just go, "Hey, Torties," and I'm like, "Oh,
Oh.
it's Turtles," but I'm cool with Torties.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's why I picked my name because there's really easy to not confuse with
Twisty
anything.
Punch, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some people still will be like, "Hey, pun, hey, ch." I'm like, where? How do you
Pun
pe-
H.
how do you or a little bit like, "Hey, Steve," and I'm like, where do these people get these? And I just imagine what these people's nickname their families, you know?
Right.
So
I
why'd you?
mean, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
sure.
I mean, why? I mean, I kind of went through your YouTube a little bit, but why the longer profile interview content as opposed to the shorter form that you did before?
Oh,
It's
it's
like a podcast.
yeah. Well, it didn't really intend for it to be a podcast, but it kind of turned out that way.
Hmm.
It was easier to edit, and it's more intimate.
That makes sense. Yeah, I do agree. It is definitely a little bit more intimate.
And yeah, that and that it's super super easy to edit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Worst
Mm-hmm.
case scenario, I go in and I change, I raise the volume, add in an intro and outro. That's why I put the intro and the outro in OBS, so I wouldn't have to edit it
Oh,
afterwards.
I see.
Just saves me a shitload of
Yeah,
editing
yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely.
So there, yeah, that's why. And I also started streaming because I could stream and get
Mm.
content at the same time that I could use and put in a video later.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I used to stream under a different name or persona with my real face and everything, and finding YouTube content was always the hardest part. And trying to edit it down was, oh, geez, this was a process. But I think I've found my footing with my current system and my current process right now.
Yeah. Well, if it works, just try to
Yeah,
stick with it until I guess you get bored and try something else.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many questions that I want to ask people that it's just a matter of how do I put my own twist to it. Because there's so many other content creators out there doing interview content. A big one is Life Progress. I guess you could say Life Progress did it first before I did it. Life Progress essentially does the same thing that I do, or you could say I do the same thing that they do. They go around, ask people questions, and they just cut and stitch everybody's answers with subtitles at the bottom. But for me, I wanted to be a little bit more, put a little bit of my own personality, put a little bit of my own flavor, animate my subtitles, put a little bit more work into the details, if anything.
Right, right. Yeah, I've thought about putting subtitles in. Some people said that I should, but I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of it's not that it's hard, it's just insanely time consuming that I don't, I have to time in each word popping in. Uh
Oh yeah, it's definitely a process. It is incredibly time consuming. I'd say subtitles are the very last thing that I do for my videos.
yeah.
I'll go through my video editing in a series of rounds. The first round is just picking all the clips and putting it all together in the order that I want to. The next round would be all the jumps and the frames and all the cuts and the
Right.
transitions, and then the very last part would be the subtitles. And the subtitles I just kind of do. I'll put on a YouTube video or a movie on the side, and I'll just kind of get to work, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually stitch it together as I go. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through. One of the last things I do is I'll go through and I'll make sure all the cuts and everything is right.
Mm-hmm.
So instead
Mm-hmm.
of like at the very end, instead of watching through, I'll have watched through it several times, but then I'll go through and I'll check all the parts I know that could potentially be a problem or that probably will be a problem, and I'll go through and I'll check those and I'll make sure everything works, and then I'll check the audio, and then I'll go through and check and make sure nothing changed when I did the audio.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably
Mm-hmm.
watch it like several dozen times before I'm finished.
Oh, same. I'll watch a 4-minute video. Oh, geez, like you said, several dozen times, and I'm still sometimes not satisfied with it.
Damn, 4 minutes? Shit. I do
Yeah,
10.
4 or 5 minutes. I've been really just trying to see what length of videos people like to watch. I've gotten a lot of mixed reviews, but one thing's for sure, for my type of content, a lot of the people who have been watching my 30 to 40-second clips with subtitles, editing, and everything, they said, well, 40 seconds feels a little too short. And I used to do 7 to 10 minute videos, and people say, "Oh, it's a little too long," and even the analytics will just tell me that it just drops off. People aren't invested into it anymore. So I think for me, I think 6 to 7 minutes, 4 to 7 minutes is kind of like that golden
Huh.
time frame for me.
Hey, that's a good point. Because if I broke them off in about 3.5 minutes, I could release multiple videos a week.
Hmm. And I think you should definitely do that. When I was going through your channel, you have a lot of a mix and match of certain videos. You have a lot of your different non-VR chat related content. You have your VR chat interviews. I think I think one good thing would be to, at least the way I've been seeing it and doing my own research on it, would be one video should be dedicated towards your podcast and you could upload your clips there. It's kind of like how bigger content creators have their main channel and then a clips channel and then their own secondary, they throw whatever they want onto that channel. It just helps keep it all organized, and that way you can really see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 3-minute clips are definitely much more digestible than one hour long podcast. And you could always, when you're in Premiere, you could just select the clip that you think, oh yeah, this is good. Take it out, throw it into a folder, and then you could just title each video specifically into its own video.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think I might do that. Just start doing the 3.5 to 4 minute long videos, and I can do like one. I could probably do like 2 a week.
Wow, yeah, I mean, like a Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan has Joe Rogan clips.
Oh no, well I meant like my my clip videos, like ones where I go around talking to people and hanging out.
I see.
And doing stuff like that. I've got a lot of those. Those were some of my favorite, because it got to I used to do a video like almost every day, but it wasn't always high quality. But then I started doing them longer and longer, especially when I got VR. Because at the time it was like, oh yeah, you got to do 10 minutes for the it helps you get like recommended and stuff. But I start seeing all sorts of videos saying that or people saying, it's got to be 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But I don't know. I guess I could try for a few weeks, do them shorter, and that way I wouldn't be as hard pressed to do 10-minute videos.
For me, the biggest thing was, at some point in my content creation career with my other personas, my other channels, I used to be just so caught up with the analytics side of it and trying to minimize and maximize everything, the thumbnails and the and just really trying to see, this should work for the algorithm, this should push it for me, bless YouTube gods.
Yeah.
But at some point I've come to this conclusion where people are following me for me, and if they enjoy the content that I do, they'll just follow me for the content that I do. And so I've reached this point where I'm not so hung up on the analytic. Oh, I did mention analytics a little bit, so a little bit of a hypocrisy here, but I guess I'm not too caught up with it. I'm not too caught up on 10 minutes for monetizing, or I have to include this and I'll get more views, I have to clickbait harder. I've started treating each video like a work of art, because editing in its sense is art.
Yeah, I would agree.
Every YouTube video that everybody puts out is art, and everything you put out on the internet has its own value. So I've try to really just step away and just think about, why do I do this? Why do I do the content that I create? Am I even enjoying the content that I'm creating? And that's where I've kind of settled on, 4 to 7 minutes. Yeah, I mean, that sounds right to me. And to the people that have watched my videos, they told me, 4 to 7 minutes sounds about right. And I'm like, yeah, I like that.
Huh. That's interesting. I mean, I like the content that I do. I normally prefer when I make a video with lots of people, Like when I did there's like Super Sexy Fun Time was a good one, because it had like Narkai, had Akka, it had a bunch of the old crew, had Soul, I had Law, I think Felix is in there. And then VR Chat Court, that's one of my favorites, because it had so many people were involved. I mean, most of the people were just stand-ins because I did pretty much all the voices, and Narkai was in there, and then Matt was in there. That was a fun one. I've lately been thinking about finishing that series because it was for the series finale, and I loved it. And I was just like obsessed with it for the longest time. I still kind of am because it's one of my favorite projects that I did, even though it's unfinished. But um,
I what's
yeah, what's that?
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say something really cheesy and corny. You see it in the YouTube comments all the time. People just say things like, maybe the true treasure was the friends and the memories we made along the way.
No, but it was really interesting.
But there is some truth to it.
No, you're right. You're right. I have to position my body differently so it'll look like I'm doing what I want to be doing. Well, no, that is pretty much what I'm doing right now. But no, I mean it's really fun doing scripted stuff. Yeah, I've had lots of projects fall through and lots of projects work, but you definitely need to be liking what you're doing. You definitely need to be enjoying it. If you're not making it for anybody else, at least make it for you, right?
That's a big thing. Yep, I 100% agree with that.
How did you get into like editing and film and stuff?
Well, for me, starting from, I guess my journey starts with photography. It might go a little long,
It's fun.
but my journey starts with photography back in middle school. I love taking pictures, and to this day, I actually do photography semi-professionally. I take on clients and I do family photos, graduation, and
Oh
my own
man.
artistic styles of photography. And I guess that naturally translated towards videography in high school. So in high school, I would record myself kind of like in high school I tried making Swoozy type videos. Swoozy was this YouTube personality who did a lot of story times and had animations. And I thought to myself, well, he can do it and I could do it. I'm just this 16-year-old kid and I can tell stories. And so one of my first videos was a tripod set up with me speaking to the camera, trying to tell a story that I thought was absolutely hilarious, but was not very funny looking back on it. But that transition towards to college with more photography. I was doing it a little bit more seriously, a lot more
Yeah.
graduation photos, taking on clients, professional gigs, events, and then naturally settled towards content creation. I don't think there was a specific moment that I can think to where I thought, well, I'm going to edit for content. I think when you grew up with the internet, everybody just kind of has this dream where I'm going to make it as a YouTuber. I'm going to be a content creator. I'm going to be the next PewDiePie. When you're young and dumb like that, yeah, it just makes sense. So I gave it a shot. I tried making content for a year, using myself as the brand and the personality. Didn't necessarily work out, a lot of failures. I think I was too obsessed with the numbers, like I mentioned before, and I was too obsessed with the analytics, and I was too impatient. That was the big thing. I was very, very impatient. I thought all I have to do is make 10 good videos and I'm going to be a million subscriber person, but that's not how it works. It often takes years for you to even have a chance to get to that. So I got more into content creation after I graduated from college, and I tried it again, and I tried streaming under myself as a persona, completely new name and identity, but I think I was too impatient and focused on the numbers again. So recently I picked up a new job and started reintegrating into, I guess, society and reality, and
Right.
really trying to get a foothold on my life first and then personal life,
Yeah.
and just started focusing more on content creation in a way where, well, if I'm going to make videos, like you mentioned before, I should do it for me. What do I like to do? And there's this very interesting exercise. I think it was created by this Japanese professor, but it's called Ikigai. And Ikigai is essentially this exercise that you can do to really hone down on who you are, what your goals are, what does society and the world currently need, and what are the things that you are passionate and like to do. And it's kind of like this flow chart, and you draw and you pick out certain things. And in the list of things that I had written down, well, I like photography, and I like videography, and I like talking to people, and I like video games, and I like making videos. and so I started getting a pattern, and I started what does the world need? Well, the world wants more content because the virus was a big thing, and everyone was on their phones and watching more content, and conscientiousness, and as well as more need for human contact and human intimacy. So I think there's a bigger emphasis now on people's opinions on things, because now the authority has been given to people with big followings. Why would I listen to what this random guy on the street says when I can watch my favorite 100,000 subscriber YouTuber whose focus is primarily on, I don't know, gardening, for example? Why would I not take their word over this random person? Authority has been given to these people.
Yeah, you say that. That's right.
So, and so for me, I realized, well, if I like all these things, what is one thing that I can really put my focus towards? And so I settled on VR, and that was around the time that I picked up VR chat as a game, and I played it socially, hung out with friends in IRL friends in VR chat, met new random strangers on VR chat, and I said, well, this might be it. It's a social game that I get to talk to people. I can record content, and I can edit in my free time when I'm off work, and I can just post it for the world to see. And I love doing it. I actually really like doing it. Sometimes I get stressed out, and when I don't have footage, I get stressed out when a video isn't as great that I thought it would be. But I love the process. Even if I dislike certain parts of it during certain periods, everything else is things I love to do. I love talking to people. I love asking them questions. I love editing. I love photography. I love videography. And just combining all of that, that's just made me settle on this particular, I guess, style of content creation. So to answer your question really shorthand, I got into content creation because it was one of the paths that I had written down and chosen to really focus all of my energy on. And at least, even if I don't become 100,000 subscriber or a million subscriber, as long as I'm creating content that I like to do, I'm pretty happy with that. And I can be at least proud of every video that I've put out there and the people that I've gotten to talk to and really learn new things from, and new cultures and new ideas and new, I guess, stories.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have any friends that play in any real life friends that play in VR. Did they still get into VR? Your friends still get into VR now, or what?
They do get into VR, not as often. They'd like to play other video games. We were all Discord friends, and we all met up, and we all hung out on VR chat before we actually met up in person. But now when I log into VR chat, I don't mean to do this intentionally, but when I come into VR chat, I typically have a goal in mind. My goal being, I have this one question or two questions that I want to talk to people, and I want to ask them these questions. I am going to go around for 3 to 4 hours and talk to as many people as I can about, I guess, what I want to ask them about. I don't typically log into this game to really, I guess, like drink and just sit back and I might have those moments, but that's not my primary focus now. I guess just because I have a lot of other things going on in my personal life. I just don't have time between socializing and editing and recording for content and my social life outside of VR chat and work and all of these other things combined. And I guess I enjoy it that way. It's like a schedule almost. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah, so you don't hang out or play like any mini games or anything.
I do want to start hanging out and playing some mini games, but I think a big part of it is a lot of my IRL friends don't particularly log into VR chat often.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not full body. I'm on the Quest right now. So, it's sometimes a little hard for me to play certain mini games,
Oh
and
yeah, that's
I'd love to
right.
get full tracking, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm Quest connected to my PC, so I am PC VR,
Yeah.
but I don't have all of my fingers available to me. I don't have my feet available to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Damn, bro. Because some of those games are really fun. Like, if you get a good group together when you play Murder, or like when you get a good group together to play the Among Us game, those are pretty great. There's some horror maps. I don't usually go to a lot of those lately because my internet is dog doo. But some of those games are
Yeah, I've
really
actually
fun.
never played any of those mini games.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I recommend it whenever if you ever get the time to, and I'm on, I'll play with you for sure. You get
Yeah,
some.
for sure, man. I mean, funny enough, I've actually never played Among Us ever either.
Well, yeah, the first time I played it was on a cell phone or a phone.
Yeah,
I
I've
guess you
actually
didn't
never
call them
played the
cell.
actual game either.
It's okay. I like the VR chat version better, or the VR chat
I see, I see.
inspiration better. It's pretty
Hmm.
cool, and especially if everyone agrees to pick the same, pick the Among Us avatars.
Hmm.
Because some people will pick like a really tiny avatar or an invisible avatar.
Hmm. Oh, actually, on second thought, my friend did introduce me to this rhythm game, something Arc in VR chat, where you just kind of hover your hands over these lines and you got to match them to the beat. It's actually pretty fun, but I haven't played it since I started VR chat. I can't find what world it is, but it was a pretty fun world that I played on.
So why'd you choose an avatar like this? What's the significance? What's its significance?
Uh, well, I think a big part of it was I couldn't find a lot of really good male avatars, and I don't particularly want to pay money for an avatar, at least this point in my, I guess, VR chat life. I don't really see a need to pay for an avatar just yet, unless, for some reason I become a little bit bigger and people want to recognize me. Uh, I I went avatar shopping, as I call it, and went on a bunch of different worlds. Asked people, "Hey, where do you get this avatar?" And there was this guy with a similar avatar, and so I asked him, "Hey, what world did you get this avatar? It's
Yeah.
cool." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I got it from this world." And then so I hopped in, and I was like, "Oh, this guy has two male avatars, and I like this one better." So I picked this one,
So the
and it's
ears,
not
the glowing
too
hair.
unrealistic. Yeah, yeah, it's not too unrealistic. It's still a person. It's a dude. I'm a dude. The ears give it a little bit of feel for, it's still a little fake because it's VR chat. But, the clothing and the jewelry and the accessories is maybe a little bit similar to what I would wear in real life as well.
Oh.
It's one of the better avatars that I like personally.
Well, that's pretty cool. It took me a while to find a good one, and then I found one, and then this one was supposed to be a little different, but I've got another one in the works, and then I want to try to make one with like Vroid or something from there, and use that. Oh,
Hmm.
oh. But no, I mean, I would say the most you should ever spend for an avatar is $80. No more, no more. Probably less, but don't ever spend more than 80.
Yeah, I maybe in the future, if I become more invested into this channel and I start maybe doing it full time, then I would be interested in getting my own personalized avatar with, I don't know, VR lens. I've been looking into that, but I'm pretty good with the stream camera, the default stream camera VR chat provides, and this avatar is pretty cool and it's unique enough. I've never seen anyone else with this avatar, so I like it.
Yeah, that was my first avatar. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, was it really?
No, I'm just.
Oh, for a second I was like, oh, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, no, it's not. But no, I did use an avatar, like a taller avatar, that wore more realistic clothing for one of my videos, and it had a tail. Unlike, yeah, you don't have a tail, but that one had it. The one we
Yeah,
were
this one
using
doesn't
had a
have
tail.
tail.
Yeah, no.
Hmm.
So what are some things that
I'm not very big on the tails.
inspire your work?
Inspire my work. Well, a lot of different creators on YouTube. I don't think I'm original by any means, but I was having this conversation with a friend where they were in a rut and they said, well, I can't think of anything original. And I said, well, innovation doesn't necessarily have to mean completely brand new. Innovation just can also mean better as well. So, with that in mind, I guess you could say a lot of my inspirations come from the existing VR chat YouTubers. I mean, definitely channels like Seer More, I Am Lucid, a little bit smaller, but Life Progress, who does the VR chat and interview videos. I'd say a lot of other channels that aren't related to VR chat content per se. A lot of the gaming YouTubers.
I have the chat on my
Channels like,
wrist. I'm not ignoring
oh,
you.
yeah, no problem. I mean, channels like, I guess, the Misfits crew is always funny. The offline TV and Friends is always funny as well. I like to look at what their editors are doing and how they edit their videos and how they pick and choose certain clips to edit and I guess the cool stuff that they do in the first and how they lay out their videos. I like to watch a lot of their videos and content and follow the personalities for their personalities as well as the editors that do their specific videos for the more technical side of, oh yeah, that's a really cool transition. I wonder how they did that. And with all that in mind, taking a blend from all of these other creators and personalities and editors, I guess that's what inspires me. I'm not saying I'm better than them by any means. I'm not saying that I'm not good at what I do, but definitely I want to put in a level of quality to my videos where people watch it and they go, "Oh, this video is actually pretty well edited." But not necessarily think that it's low budget. It's all in the details, like the captions and the subtitles,
Right,
like
yeah.
you mentioned before in my videos. It's animating all those subtitles. In my newest one I just released today, I'm trying out a new caption animation style with it, and I guess cuts, and as well as just putting my own voice and avatar into it as well. So every single video is a process, and
Yeah, it is.
all these creators inspire me to do better, and I guess I inspire myself to do something new, or at least step outside of my own comfort zone.
What about movies? Like, are there any movies or anything else like that really pumps you up and makes you want to work on something?
Funny enough, I'm actually not a very big consumer of mainstream media. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, nor do I watch a lot of movies.
Oh.
To put this into perspective, I haven't really watched any Marvel movies until recently, which is insane because all of my friends have watched Marvel movies. I only just recently watched Shang-Chi, and it's a great movie, but I don't go out of my way to watch movies. I love watching little off topic, but I like stocks and I like watching the financial markets. So movies like The Big Short, I love watching. The Big Short's a great movie. That's what I like watching. Um, Margin Call was pretty good, but I, I'm more into anime, manga.
All right. Well, I was like, well, this dude hasn't. I mean, this dude is clearly not, not into, TVs and movies because you referred to him as mainstream media. When I think of mainstream media, I think like the news. But what anime do you watch?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the big ones like One Punch Man. I watched My Hero Academia, but I thought it was pretty all right. I guess my all-time favorite is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I love that show. I've watched it multiple times. I've watched both Brotherhood and the original series
Wow.
that they made in 2003. I think both of them were done very well. I guess I'm also isekai trash too. I watch it just in my downtime if I have
Isekai.
nothing better to do. Yeah, isekai meaning transported to another world or reincarnated. type
Oh
of-
yeah, I like RE0 or Konosuba.
yeah.
I love those. Those are just so
So,
fun.
Yeah, I call myself isekai trash because it's never gonna happen, but it's kind of those shows where I just turn off my brain and I go, I would just enjoy it. Like there's no plot, it's terrible, there's no character development, but I like it because it's isekai. So I'll watch those, I'll read manga, a lot of just a lot of those mediums. Not a lot of TV shows, not a lot of movies. Just music, anime, and mangas for the most part.
All right, that's fair. Yeah. Well, in your defense, I haven't seen My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, or the original. Hadn't seen any of that. You could probably name most
That's
anime,
totally fine.
and I probably haven't seen any of them. But I want to. Yeah, there's a lot of anime on my
Uh-huh.
list. I recently watched, not recently, but like last year, I watched Death Note for the first time, and
Oh, Death Note is great.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like really, really, really enjoyed it.
Death Note is a great one. I've watched Death Note. I've watched the live action, which was I
Oh,
think hilarious. I've read the manga. It's great. It's a great show. I love it.
yeah. Just I watched the trailer for the live action Death Note, and I'm just like, what? What the fuck?
The thing with the live actions for any anime is you cannot treat it like the animes or the manga. It is its own thing. It's its own being. You have to go in with a fresh mind and go, "Oh, that's funny how they did that. See, that's hilarious."
Like Case Closed,
And it's much
right?
more enjoyable that way. Yeah,
Like the live action Case Closed. It was more of a Asian drama. I had a friend, and she was really into Asian dramas, and so I watched what was it called, Devil Beside You, and I enjoy. It's really weird because a lot of those Asian dramas, they're like, they're kind of like cartoons. Because one time this girl's upset and the camera like zooms in and a storm cloud appears above her and starts raining down on her. So
Mhm.
it's really weird. It's just like take a lot of like anime tropes and put them in live action. It's just it's just
Mm-hmm.
surreal, really. Like in the case
Mm-hmm.
closed, he's in high school, right? So he opens a door, and all this stuff falls out of or he opens his locker, and everything falls out, and like he's all covered up. And then when they actually do the thing where they fall down with the legs up in the air,
Yeah, yeah.
that cracks me up to see that in live action.
Yeah. I mean, what inspires you for your videos?
Oh,
Why these longer format, intimate type conversations?
the longer format mostly from like people like whether you like them or not is not the point, but like like Joe Rogan, and then
Mm-hmm.
people who will bring other various podcasters who will bring people on and do it for about an hour or
Mm-hmm.
so. But most of my inspirations come from like Stanley Kubrick and Tom Green and Joe Franz. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Franz is really fond of using the 35 millimeter, and so a lot of his work looks really good. He did music videos for like him and 69 Eyes and CKY. He also did this.
Oh, okay.
He also filmed the CKY videos, like the skate videos with all the stunts before Bam was on Jackass, that sort of stuff. And he also filmed. He also was the he is a cinematographer for all these. Um, and he was cinematographer for a couple of Bam Margera's movies. He did a movie called Haggard, which is really, really good. Has a lot of has a lot of great B-roll, and it sounds great. It looks great. And then there was another one that they did called Ming Hags, which is mostly just a video to get all of Bam's friends into a film. Um, and the music for Haggard is great too. So a lot of that stuff was inspiration. Tom Green, he used to do man on the street stuff, but he'd do like buckets or boxes. He'd like someone votes for buckets or boxes. Will it stick? And you stick it in some kind of goop and you pour peanuts on it. It stuck. It just weird, stupid stuff. Where he'd go out into the audience and just
Yeah.
he'll bother an audience member. Um,
And those things inspire you to create the kind of videos that you want to push
probably
out, I guess, or show people.
well, probably my eccentricity a little bit comes inspired by a lot of
Mm-hmm.
doing things raw. Pretty much going out there,
Mm-hmm.
grabbing a
Mm-hmm.
camera, and going out and raw dogging it, if you will.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Authenticity.
Um, but to do this VR chat, probably it's a mixture of Ugandan knuckles and Drumsy. Yes, I really I like
Uganda knuckle.
Drumsy enough to where I actually got one of the Brooke shirts. Hey, we got a follower. We got a follower up in here that sounded kind of scraggly. I
Hey.
sure I sure hope it's the audio's working fine. Watch. Oh, that's the cat trying to get in. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Oh,
Oh, oh.
I'm okay. I'm okay. The cat's busting down the door. Come on, kitty. Yeah, hi, kitty. Yeah, I should have left it cracked in the first place for her. Oh shit! Yeah, she can open doors, ring doorbells. She
Oh,
understands.
that's cool.
She understands locks, but I'm not sure she has figured out how to open them. Like she knows when a door is locked.
Mm, I see, I see.
Yeah, pretty smart. It's pretty smart to have cats. But no, but inspirations and knowing where you're coming from and what you want is it's pretty important. Um,
Agreed, agreed.
but yeah, sometimes how do you avoid burnout?
Mm, I don't think one can ever avoid burnout. I've been burnt out multiple times, but I think one of the biggest things that I've come to realize with burnout is I only feel burnt out if I don't enjoy what I'm doing. And something interesting that I was watching this one show, forgot which one, but two things. One, the first thing being the guy who was speaking said it was a conversation between two celebrities, and this one guy said, if it if time ever feels like it's going very slowly, that's vacation. And it took me a little bit to really think about what does that even mean. And I think about it, and it's those moments where I work out pretty consistently. So when I'm, things like when I'm doing a bench press or doing a deadlift, and time seems to go so slowly because I'm just lifting all these heavy weights, and I remembered, oh, it's moments like these where I'm focused on one thing and time seems to go really slowly. That's vacation. And another thing being, there's a very common quote that gets passed around where they say, if you love what you do, you will never work another day in your life. But I think that's absolutely BS. I think the way it has to be said is how do I phrase this? I like what I do, but at the end of the day, it's still work. But I'm always satisfied when I publish a video or when I publish a piece of art or finish working with a client that I'm ready to go on to the next one. So I just released a video today, and because of that, I'm itching. I'm itching to go back around a VR chat and interview people for my next question and get all the footage. I'm ready to go do that again. And that's what keeps me going, because I might not enjoy the editing part of the cycle, but I know that if I finish the editing part of the cycle, I am then allowing myself, okay, if I can edit, do the thumbnail, and publish this video, I can go into VR chat and screw around and ask these people these questions. And maybe I don't want to ask people questions one day, but I tell myself, okay, as long as I finish asking people all these questions, I can then go on my computer and watch a movie and edit and do the subtitles and captioning and work on that. So I always love the end result, but it's beyond the end result that keeps me going and I guess helps me avoid burnout. I don't think I've been doing this content specifically long enough where I can tell myself, oh, I'm not burnt out, because I only get the feeling of burning out if it's been a couple of months or if I don't, again, like what I'm doing.
No, that makes sense. It makes sense to keep that focus. It makes sense that if you're not, not enjoying it, you probably would get burned out. Maybe find a new angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find a new angle to approach the same situation. So like, if you if you like doing the recording, but you don't really like doing the interviewing people anymore, you can keep doing it, but don't do interviews. Do something else. Host mini games.
Exactly. Switch it up. It's always find something new. Pick the parts that you like doing and throw away the parts that you don't like doing, because as humans, we're animals. We don't necessarily want to do the same thing all the time. But I like editing, and that's one thing I know I like doing. So try something new, try something different.
Yeah. How long you been editing?
I guess simple cuts and stitching together things like dance videos, or I guess other types of content, story times, vlogs, on and off for the past couple of years. But it wasn't until this past year that I really sat down and really started caring about how I edited things like captioning, right? Captioning for me is a pretty tedious process, but if I can find any way to make it much more efficient, much faster, I'm gonna do that. And that's part of the process that I like doing. If I wanted to figure out a zoom edit that I saw in another person's video, I'm gonna figure out how to do that zoom edit and figure out the most efficient way of doing it, or maybe even make a preset or something for myself.
Preset, yeah, I need to make those.
And that way I can, and I can just add it to my own collection of things that I like doing. If there's a specific sound effect that I like, then I'll just take that sound effect, and the list just goes on, and that's one of the parts of the process of editing that I love doing and figuring out. Always could be better. Your videos could be always better, just like how my photography could always be better. The way I ask people questions could always be better. My thumbnails could always be better.
Yeah,
I could always
thumbnails.
put in more effort.
Yeah, because
I'm not
making
truly
videos.
satisfied with everything I do.
No, no, you're right. You're right. George Lucas said that a project is never finished; it's abandoned.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing people don't understand about video making, until you get people to make all the extra shit for you, you've got to do the thumbnails, you got to do the audio, you got to do the video, you got to do the recording. You have to learn all this shit just to put a decent video out. Yes, yeah, you have to learn how to, do Photoshop or some kind of photo editing program, so picture editing program, so you can make those thumbnails. And you gotta, eventually gotta figure out that audio, because the audio can be a real pain in the ass. Because it seems to me that audio ends up having more problems than video itself.
Yeah, for the video I published earlier, I actually lost about 6 hours of footage because my audio never recorded and I didn't realize. And
That
so
sucks.
I missed out on a lot of great content, and I was
that'll
really,
happen.
really sad. And I just told myself, well, I should check my OBS and other tools to really make sure that they work. And it set me back a couple of days. I wanted to publish 2 videos this week, but it is what it is.
So if you had one message to give to somebody who wanted to do things like, hang on, I gotta let this crazy cat out. Here you go, sweetie. Okay,
Hey, everybody.
If you had one message to give to somebody who wants to do something like you, what would it be?
Wow. That is so loaded and not loaded at the same time.
Like, I mean, if somebody is like, man, I want to do what you do, what would you say to them for words of encouragement?
It wouldn't necessarily be encouragement,
Hey,
but I would say, hey,
Another
new
follower.
follower. Hey. My thing would be stay disciplined, but don't do the same thing over and over again. Figure out what works for you. And if you don't like certain things, then just don't do it anymore. Because the process of video editing, like you said, George Lucas says a project is never finished. It's always abandoned. The process of video editing in itself is art. But some people might not see it that way, but you really have to love what you're doing. And if you hate the kind of content that you're recording, don't record that kind of content. And if you hate the kind of edits that you're doing, maybe interview content isn't for you. Maybe go work on music videos or something. Maybe work on vlogs, work on lifestyle videos, work on all these other types of videos, if that makes sense. So the big thing would be stay disciplined, try to stay on top of your things, do something and stick with it for at least a year. Try something new. Always try to become better. And don't be afraid to share what you've made with other people. Because it might be bad now, but I really do wish I kept a lot of the videos that I made in the past, because then I can't look back and see exactly how far that I've come along and see how much better I've gotten at my own craft. It's like comparing your first drawing to a drawing you might have drawn 20 years later if you're aspiring to become an artist. It matters. That would be my one piece of advice, or multiple pieces of advice. no words of encouragement, because at the end of the day, you'll have to encourage yourself. There will be a lot of nights where nobody will tell you good job and nobody will tell you keep going. You'll just have to do it yourself. Not to get all glum, but that's just how I see it.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming out. We got a request for a stretch. Let's see. There we go. Stretch.
All right. Stretch. Sorry, my arms are screwed up, but.
Oh, popped my back. Felt good.
Ooh.
I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, I did. Jeez.
A lot of people don't stretch their neck.
Spin me right round, baby, right round.
Oh, that felt great. All right. Well, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed my time here. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, it went pretty rad.